Unbound Theatre presents The Chronicles of Professor Chronomier, the Tudor Assassin. Written by Dario Knight and performed by Erika Sanderson. Chapter 9. The Truth. The Professor and Astrid moved quickly back towards the cart horse, scanning every possible pathway for any sign of Marlowe or the Wraith. By now the final dregs of sunlight were seeping between the rooftops, and the streets had grown dark.
"You don't make any sense. You really don't," Astrid huffed. "Ignore me. I was prattling. In shock, I suspect." Nah, I know the ranting of them who gets dragged into Bedlam, and that weren't it. How does a young girl like you know about Bedlam Hospital? That ain't what we're discussing, lady. Professor Chronomier. All right, Professor. How do you know that Marlowe snuffs it tomorrow?
The Professor slowed to a halt. She looked into Astrid's dark, defiant eyes, and she knew any attempt to wrong-foot her would fail.
"Very well," she sighed. "Let's get inside and I'll explain."
They soon found themselves sat in front of the fire in the deserted barroom of the cart horse. Mistress Bradley placed 2 tankards of ale on the table behind them and fixed them with a glare.
"Drink up then and away to bed. Astrid, make certain you lock the doors."
She didn't wait for any reply, turning back to the bar and picking up a candlestick on her way to the stairs. The Professor rubbed her hands and flexed her fingers near the fire, too many thoughts ebbing and flowing in her mind.
"Right then,"
Astrid said firmly after taking a slurp from her tankard.
"What's your tale?"
"I'm a traveller," the Professor said quietly.
"Where from?"
"London."
"Here we go again. You don't even know where the theatre is."
"Not London as you know it. I... The tangle of inevitable questions and seemingly nonsensical explanations knotted all around her.
"Spit it out then."
"I don't travel from place to place. I travel from time to time."
"Just when you fancy it, like?"
"No, not occasionally. I travel in time." Astrid frowned. "I am from London in the year 1873. The frown remained unmoved. "In 280 years' time, I will leave my own time and travel back to 1593, where we are now." A crowbar could not have shifted it. "You see, just as a horse and cart can take you from town to town, I have a device, a machine I invented, which can take me from time to time. Horses travel along roads. I travel along a vortex which
links up your year and mine.
You understand?"
You hopped on some carriage down some secret road and it took you into the past."
The Professor was stunned. Astrid took a long sip of her ale.
"I thought it would take longer to convince you I wasn't making it up. Makes sense to me."
"That's marvellous." The Professor beamed and sipped her own drink.
"It really doesn't frighten you?"
"Frighten me?
You don't think it's ludicrous? I've dreamt much the same. Reckoned I was in the court of old King Henry one time. Next night I was in the forest with Robin Hood. Stands to reason if you can think it up, you can do it with the know-how." "You are an extraordinary young woman, Astrid. Truly astonishing." "Cheers, Prof,"
she chirped and took another swig of her drink.
"And what of you? How did you end up here? Didn't itch your lift from the next century, if that's what you mean?" "Where were you born?"
"Dunno."
"Where are your parents?"
"Not a clue."
"You're an orphan?" "Reckon so. You're not one to elucidate a point, are you? Don't like long answers, neither. I shared my secrets with you." "What makes you think I've got secrets?" "Those eyes of yours, Astrid. Those eyes." "What about 'em?" "An old friend of mine, a very old friend, once told me that our eyes reflect everything we are or were. 'Look at someone's eyes,' he'd say, 'and you'll see their whole story.'" "You don't need me to tell it then." "Those eyes have cried too many times, Astrid," the Professor muttered and drank from her tankard, leaving it to Astrid to fill the silence. I don't remember me ma and pa. I don't remember being a nipper. First thing I knew, I was in hospital."
Astrid's words on the way back to the tavern soared to the front of the Professor's mind.
"You mean Bedlam?"
"For a time.
Said I had a fever, needed bleeding. Kept me there for months, they did. Then they turned me out and I had to sort myself out.
Picking pockets?
I earn me keep here.
The Professor raised an eyebrow.
And from time to time I take what I need to keep myself clothed. Mistress Bradley don't offer me much beyond bed, bread and water, you know. Astrid, oh, don't go starting with the pity. I make me own way, though. Plenty don't.
The spitting of the dying fire filled a momentary silence before Astrid looked to the Professor.
That monster. That thing what tried to stick Marlowe. You'd seen it before?
The Professor nodded. On my way here. There were several of them in the on the road that brought me here to 1593. I managed to lead it here.
And what was all that about change? What's it trying to change?
Change will come to all, the Professor recalled. The Wraith will rip apart this world and feed on the chaos. And it said that Kit had potential.
All a load of nonsense to me.
It knew Marlowe wasn't meant to die today, but it still wanted to kill him. The Professor was buried in her own thoughts, staring intently into the embers of the fire. It wanted to change things, to change history, and feed on the chaos.
Should have offered it one of our pies.
The Professor looked at Astrid with befuddlement for battling away her deductions with such abandon. And then she laughed, wholeheartedly and joyfully. Astrid joined her with a giggle, then hushed her new friend in fear of Mistress Bradley hearing them. Of all the ideas! The Professor chuckled. With a great thud and the roar of hinges, the door was flung open. A cold wind rushed into the barroom, and Astrid and the Professor leapt to their feet.
God's blood, what's all this?
Astrid hissed. A man staggered in and collapsed onto a stool, his head bowed over a table. Astrid quickly shut the door as the Professor approached the intruder.
Who are you? Where have you come from? Are you?
She stopped as the man raised his head.
Hello again, dear lady,
panted Kit with a weary smile. His left eye was dark, and his right cheek too, both from heavy blows. His bottom lip had been cut, blood was seeping down his chin.
Truly, this is a blessed night. Have you any ale?
And with that, he slumped onto the floor. The Chronicles of Professor Chronomier, an Unbound theatre production. The Tudor Assassin was written by Dario Knight. It was performed by Erika Sanderson, with music by Kevin MacLeod.